Sí, entonces lo que enfrentarse a Otani no fue tan difícil en verdad.
Okay.
A Yamamoto sí.
El que estaba nasty,
Yamamoto. La real, mire.
Fue el MVP. ¿Te quita el sombrero antes?
Sí.
You know, besides having elite stuff, he's got great command. You know, I think that's what we really noticed today was, you know, we get into hitters counts and he still wouldn't give in to the heart of the plate. You know, he really lived on the edges and could work any pitch at any time.
Had curveball, split, fastball, cutter going today, so he was mixing it up well, expanding when he needed to, and yeah, he threw well.
リーグを代表する強打者たちが口を揃えて絶賛している投手がいます。ドジャースの山本由伸投手。NPB 時代に史上初の3年連続投手4冠を達成し、2023年オフには投手史上最高額となる12年3億2500万ドルでドジャースと契約。渡米後はその実力を証明し続け、2025年のワールドシリーズでは日本人として松井秀喜氏以来、史上2人目となるシリーズ MVP に輝きました。そして2026年シーズン、開幕投手の大役を任され、今なお本物のエースとしてドジャースのローテーションを支え続けています。ワールドシリーズという最高の舞台で誰もが信じられないような連投を披露し、見ている全員を黙らせた山本投手。対戦した打者たちはその名前が出た途端に表情を変えます。圧倒的な球速、多彩な変化球、そして針の穴を通すようなコントロール。オールスターに選出される強打者たちでさえマウンドに立つ彼を見るとどこか身構えてしまうのです。今回の動画では実際に対戦したオールスタースラッガーたちが語った山本由伸投手の凄さに迫るインタビューをお届けします。ぜひ最後までお楽しみください。ブルージェイズの主砲ブラディミール・ゲレーロジュニア選手。2025年シーズンはチームを牽引し、ワールドシリーズでドジャースと激戦を繰り広げた強打者です。第7戦の死闘で山本投手と対峙した彼が語った言葉には、敗者だからこそ見えた真実が詰まっています。2025年シーズン終了後の取材で、ゲレーロジュニア選手はこう語りました。
Pero háblame de los playoffs, la Serie Mundial, enfrentarte a Otani, prepararte para un turno contra él, tenerlo de rival, qué tanto hablaron y obviamente cuándo superaste, si es que, el hecho de haber perdido en ese séptimo juego. ¿Qué hubo ahí?
Bueno, como para hablarte de la primera pregunta, lo de Otani,
sí.
Obviamente nosotros sabíamos que era que estábamos jugando con el Dream Team de pelota.
Okay.
Y éramos el equipo que nadie iba a nosotros. O sea, no, que se van en 1, 2, 3 y 4, se van ellos.
Sí. Pero desde el principio.
Sí. Entonces lo que enfrentarse a Otani no fue tan difícil en verdad.
Okay.
A Yamamoto sí.
El que estaba nasty,
Yamamoto. La real, mire.
Fue el MVP. ¿Te quita el sombrero antes?
Sí. La real, ese tipo no te la sacaba de la rodilla. Y él trae todo el mundo. Pero Otani no fue tan difícil.
Okay. Pero tenerlo más cerca y hablaban
en todos los juegos.
Okay.
Normal.
Okay.
Por eso que yo digo que yo me disfruté la Serie Mundial, yo me la disfruté al máximo. Pero el juego 7, ¿qué te digo? Son cosas que tú la ves en el momento que pasan y tú no... Todo pasa tan rápido que tú no absuelves lo que está pasando, tú no lo crees. O sea, está pasando al frente tuyo, pero tú no crees que eso está pasando. Y yo digo que lo de yo sé separar.
Okay.
Ya el año sí duele. Yo todavía hoy en día hablo con los muchachos de ese juego y me duele. Pero sé separar, ya eso fue el año pasado. Ya ese año a mí me lo pagaron.
Hay una palabra que tú usas, se flochea.
Sí, flush. Ya, vamos. Te fuiste, sí, vemos videos en YouTube. Le pica a uno, pues no te voy a decir que no, duele. Imagínate tú caerte en el último juego.
¿Qué te hubiese gustado que fuera diferente?
Que ganemos.
Ok, pero...
Que ganemos, más nada.
Más nada. Ok.
Ahí no hay culpa de nadie.
Ok.
Porque es un juego de pelota.
あの試合の MVP は彼だと思う。ホームランキングを争う球界屈指の強打者がそう言い切るのは決して簡単なことではありません。しかも大谷選手との対戦よりも山本投手の方が手強かったと語ったその事実が彼の投球の異常さを物語っています。膝からボールが離れないという比喩はリリースポイントの安定感とコントロールの精密さを表現したもの。世界一がかかった一戦で相手の主砲にここまで言わせる投球をした山本投手、その重みを改めて感じずにはいられません。続いては同じくブルージェイズの主力外野手ジョージ・スプリンガー選手。長年にわたりポストシーズンの舞台を経験してきたベテランの言葉だからこそ説得力があります。ワールドシリーズ後の会見でスプリンガー選手はこう語りました。
Yeah, I mean, I love this team. I love these guys. This was so fun. This was a great year. We have a lot to be proud of. Obviously, disappointed, but we have so much to be proud of and to hang our hat on.
Just talk about how tough it was for the game to end the way it did.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you come out on the other side of a game like that, it's tough. But you have to give them a lot of credit. They fought back all game. But I just think this group has so much to be proud of, even if it didn't go our way.
What did you say to these guys, George, when you got back to the room and you guys were hugging?
I'll keep that between us, but just overall how much I love them and I appreciate everybody in this room, the guys who aren't here. There's been so many people who have contributed to us being in this position, and just such a special year. Didn't end the way that we would like it to, but I think as a whole, we have a lot to hang our hat on.
There's a whole country of fans right now that are feeling your pain right now. What do you say to those fans when they came out full force?
Thank you for being here for us, for really getting behind us all year.
George, on the other side, what can you say about what you guys had to deal with in Yamamoto throughout this series, just the sort of challenge that he presented, and to see him come out today, having pitched started yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, he's elite. There's no other way to describe it. He's elite. Can control 6 or 7 different types of spin, and obviously that split is hard to hit. So, he's elite.
言葉を尽くす必要がないほど圧倒的だったということでしょう。スプリンガー選手が触れた6から7種類の変化球というのは山本投手の大きな武器の一つ。フォーシーム、カーブ、カッター、スプリット、シンカーなど多彩な球種を自在に操り打者に的を絞らせません。そして注目すべきは昨日先発したばかりなのに今日も登板してきたという一節。連投という常識外れの起用にも応えた山本投手の体力とメンタルの強さを対戦相手自身が証言しているのです。ブルージェイズの内野手アーニー・クレメント選手、積極的な打撃スタイルで知られる彼の視点からは現役トップクラスの投手陣をどう見ているかが伝わってきます。ワールドシリーズ前の取材でクレメント選手はこう語りました。
Your success has been aggressive by nature. Obviously, at the plate, Yamamoto is very different than Glasnow tonight. Does that change for you, or same old Ernie?
Yeah, it doesn't change for me. It doesn't matter who's on the mound. I'm gonna do my thing, and obviously, you look at the scouting reports and see what they're good at. But I've learned to just lean into what I'm good at, and just stay true to that and let everything else kind of take care of itself. Obviously, Yamamoto was amazing the other night, and Glasnow is pretty darn good too. So we got to have some good approach and get after it.
In the back right corner, Julian.
Ernie, in addition to you all's bat to ball skills, there's been a lot of talk about bat speed. I'm curious, is that something as a team that you guys trained for collectively this year to get to the point, and how much do you think that is a part of success?
Yeah, I think, the harder you swing, the harder you're going to hit the balls, obviously. So that's something that, we monitor, and, our hitting coaches are constantly looking at and seeing, where we're at. There's different ways, whether it's in the off season or during a season where you can kind of keep those numbers up. As you kind of wear down throughout the season, it's normal to, kind of have that fluctuate, but it's something that we monitor. And I think, anybody can, work on swinging a little bit harder.
How do you increase bat speed?
Just having a conscious mind of it and trying to swing the bat harder, I guess. There's different, tools you can use to work on it, but it's something that I think I will definitely, work on and benefit from.
言葉は短いながらも、山本投手への評価がさりげなくにじみ出ています。ドジャースのもう一人のエース、タイラー・グラスノー投手と並べて名前を挙げられること自体、山本投手がリーグを代表する投手の一人として認識されている証拠でしょう。自分のスタイルを貫くという打者としての矜持を語りながらも、相手投手の力量はしっかりと認める。そんなプロらしい姿勢が垣間見えるインタビューでした。ヤンキースの主砲、アーロン・ジャッジ選手、本塁打王にも輝く現役屈指のスラッガーが、山本投手との対戦を振り返ったインタビューです。試合後の取材で、ジャッジ選手はこう語りました。
Aaron offense really tough to come by tonight. Starting with Yamamoto, what was he doing? Aaron had kind of mentioned that fastball maybe a little bit higher velocity than he had seen in the past.
Hey, Yamamoto looked great. He's he signed the deal he did for a reason. He's a great pitcher. Besides having elite stuff, he's got great command. I think that's what we really noticed today was, we get into hitters counts and he still wouldn't give in to the heart of the plate. He really lived on the edges and could work any pitch at any time, working that curveball splitter, off of that good heater that he run up to 97, 98 tonight. So just kind of kept guys off balance, kept us on the ground, really couldn't get anything in the air.
You were in right field for the first time in quite some time with Soto being out with the injury. How much relief was there in this clubhouse when you found out it was just inflammation and nothing more serious?
Big time. You get never like hearing that. Anytime any ball player, if it's an elbow, anything like that, we had that same thing go on with Dominguez last year. You don't like seeing that, and we all kind of were pretty relieved when we found out it was just inflammation.
Did this feel like a special game tonight, given the opponents and the situation here?
Really just feeding off the crowd, I think, is what made it special. It was packed tonight. They were on their feet from the very first pitch all the way, into extra innings. That's the games you want to play in. It's fun. You got two great teams, two great matchups. Going back and forth. Especially the outing that Cody had starting it off for us. Holding that lineup down was impressive. So it was a fun one tonight. I just wish it would have ended a little different.
How do you feel about the job Cody's done overall?
It's been impressive, going all the way back to his start in Cleveland. It was pretty impressive. I didn't know too much about him, saw him a little bit in spring training, but getting a chance to see him go out there and work. The guy's a competitor. He's never backs down. He'll attack any hitter, and especially when you have those first three guys in this lineup. That's a tough ass, and he went right at him. And that's what you love. Playing defense behind a guy like that. He's going to attack the zone, use all his pitches, and just leave it all on the field.
Last night, did you find yourself thinking about the sort of thing while you're home, thinking today, like, man, we got something great going on here? And you saw what happened last year against the Dodgers when you hurt your foot and the season's sabotaged out there. Did that go through your mind, like, hard to enjoy the win when you don't know what's going to happen to a very important piece?
Yeah, there was a little unknown, but all you can do is say a prayer and hope for the best. And we got the best news we can tonight. He's a big part of this team. We've seen it all year. He comes up in big moments, plays great defense, great clubhouse guy, and it was tough not having him out there tonight. But I'll take missing one game over missing him for a season.
For Yamamoto, you mentioned he throwing 97, 98. Which one was kind of impressed you the most? Was it a fastball or was it a secondary pitch?
Kind of all of them. He's got great stuff. Fastball. He was, I think, the biggest thing besides having that type of velo. He could locate it where he wanted it to. He was working to both sides of the plate, working it down and away, working it up and away, working it into me. So it was impressive. But that's who you want to face. You want to go out there and face the best, and he was going out there and doing it.
リーグ屈指の強打者であるジャッジ選手だからこそ、この言葉の重みは格別です。97から98マイルという球速は、本来であれば先発投手にとって異例の数字。それを試合終盤でも維持し、 さらにコースを投げ分けるコマンドまで兼ね備えている。ジャッジ選手の証言は、山本投手の球威とコントロールが両立している稀有な存在であることを裏付けています。最高の投手と勝負したいわけだからという一言には、本物のスラッガーだけが持つ矜持が現れていますね。ブレーブスの一塁手、マット・オルソン選手。パワーヒッターとして知られる彼の視点から見た山本投手の投球術です。試合後、オルソン選手はこう語りました。
Yeah, he was good. We faced him once last year. I think it was right off his injury, though, so I don't know if we got a full, good look at him. Had curveball split, fastball cutter going today, so he was mixing it up well, expanding when he needed to, and he threw well.
簡潔な言葉の中に的確な分析が詰まっています。カーブ、スプリット、ファストボール、カッターという4つの球種を巧みに組み合わせる配球術。状況に応じて緩急やコースを使い分ける山本投手の引き出しの多さを物語っています。リーグ屈指の長距離砲をもうならせる投球術。一試合だけでなく、過去の対戦と比較してその進化を語っている点も興味深いところです。そして、山本投手のドジャースでのチームメイト、フレディ・フリーマン選手。16年以上にわたりメジャーの第一線で戦い続けてきた大ベテランの視点だからこそ語れる、時代を超えた比較がそこにはあります。ある番組でフリーマン選手はこう語りました。
But the pitching from when you came in to where the pitching is now, right? You got to face Savage, you got to face Mizrachi, all those guys from when you first came in. Because your first homer was off of Roy, wasn't it? Halliday, not too shabby.
Yeah, that's something to put in the books.
I was there for that.
Yeah,
I was there for that one. I watched it. But what is your take from when you see a guy, when you face a Roy Halladay, to where you're seeing the Mizrachis, the Savages, and the guys that you're facing in today's game?
Yeah, so I think the difference is there's a lot more guys that pitch like Roy, not were Roy. Like they were cutting it, sinking it, throwing curveballs, getting you off. Kind of almost like I view Yamamoto kind of like Roy in the sense of how he could pinpoint a ball, his command. He was setting up hitters. Obviously, Yamamoto's 97 to 99 and all that stuff. And I faced Roy at the end more of like 91 to 94. And, I didn't get him early on, but it's a lot of throwing now. And I think that's the key that I've learned as I've gotten older is not swinging at that 1-0 heater that's on the inside corner blacked. It's okay to take that pitch and wait for them to miss their next spot and miss 3 inches out over the plate, and then that's my honey hole where I can just shoot that into the gap. So I think it's you got to know who you're facing. Like facing Yamamoto, maybe you shoot for that 1-0 heater in or that 1-0 cutter in and try and shoot him down the line and take the shot because you're not going to get many pitches to hit. And I think it's just different from when I came up. There's a lot more sink cuts, curves, change-ups. Now it's four seam up, and get above the barrel and pop that up, and then curveballs down below. The splitters are coming into the game now. So I think it's just you got to adapt, and then obviously the velocity has gone up so much in the last few years, and now you call them mop-up guys. They're just young guys that haven't really established themselves coming out of the bullpen throwing 98 to 100. I'm like, we're up by 7. Where's the 91 with sink? Like that was what we were facing 15 years ago. That just doesn't happen anymore. So I think it's just like if you guys were playing now, you guys would adapt to it, and you like that's just how it is. You just get used to the velocity, and you're seeing it over and over again. But in the span of 16 years, I would say maybe you would count the one guy coming out of the bullpen throwing 95 to 98 when I came up in 2010, and now it's every guy. So the game has changed, and sometimes it's like we want the guys to throw as hard as they can. So now they're going full velocity for 2 years, and they blow out. And then you kind of feel bad for it because it's almost like next man, who's going to be the next guy to throw 100? And they're all throwing 100 now, and so much TrackMan's behind them, and like spin rate, and this is like, well, your slider's only spinning 2100. Let's see if we can spin it 24. So now you're throwing it even harder, and it's more torque on your elbow. So it's different from now than it was back in the day because everyone was just trying to hit spots when we were first coming up, when I first came up, and now it's just let's blow them away, and it's different. It really is. And as you get older, That fastball looks harder and harder and harder.
殿堂入り間違いなしと言われる名選手であり、2025年のワールドシリーズでは山本投手と共に連覇を経験したフリーマン選手だからこそ語れる貴重な比較です。殿堂入り投手ロイ・ハラデイ氏と山本投手を並べ、しかも球速ではハラデイ氏を上回っているという指摘は、山本投手が球速と制球力を両立した現代でも稀有な投手であることを示しています。実際フリーマン氏は2025年のワールドシリーズ第7戦の直後、山本投手がブルペンから連投のためにマウンドへ向かう姿を見て、こんなことは初めてだと驚きを語ったこともありました。長年トップレベルの投手と対戦してきた打者がここまで言うのは、それだけ規格外だということなのでしょう。山本投手のドジャースでのチームメイト、テオスカー・ヘルナンデス選手、同じユニフォームを着る選手として、誰よりも近くで山本投手の姿勢を見てきた一人です。ある番組で、テオスカー選手はこう語りました。
¿Qué te pasó a ti por la mente cuando tú viste que Yamamoto iba a la lomita por segundo día consecutivo?
Es que, mira, lo de Yamamoto.
¿Él pidió la bola o ese era el plan?
No, él pidió la bola. Yamamoto es un tipo. Es que, mira, el japonés es un tipo demasiado dedicado, demasiado perfeccionista. Ese tipo, especialmente Yamamoto, ese tipo ha perfeccionado su mecánica, ha perfeccionado su picheo. Y él en eso se basa y se enfoca en el estudio para estudiar los bateadores. La mínima cosa que tú creas que no se estudia, él estudia. Porque él no sabe cuándo la va a necesitar. Y en ese momento, cuando me voy un poquito más para atrás, cuando Yamamoto llega a la liga, que lo matan, le dieron palo durísimo. San Diego lo agarró y le hizo de todo.
Una efectividad altísima en 6 puntos y pico.
Empezó la miria, empezaron un reguero de peloteros retirados, que cómo tú le das 325 millones a un tipo que nunca ha pichado, que esto, que lo otro, que...
Se lo ganó.
Tú estar ahí y ver la clase de pitcher que él podía llegar a ser, tú dices, no, ese tipo caballo. Y yo se lo decía, hasta a los familiares míos, a los hermanos míos, le decía yo, señor, ese tipo caballo, nadie se gana 2 MVP o 3 MVP seguidos.
En cualquier liga.
En cualquier liga, nadie hace eso. Porque si los de grandes ligas fueran los mejores, aquí nadie se lo ha ganado eso. Sí. 3 MVP, 3 Cy Young seguidos, eso no.
このインタビューが特別なのは、結果だけでなく、その過程まで知る人物の証言だからです。テオスカー選手は、山本投手がメジャー1年目に苦しんだ時期を直接見ていました。それでも、あいつは本物の怪物だと確信していたというのは、結果論ではなく、彼の取り組み方そのものを評価していたからこその言葉でしょう。誰よりも近くで山本投手を見てきたチームメイトだからこそわかる、地道な積み重ねへの敬意が込められているのです。最後に登場するのは、ドジャースでのチームメイト、ムーキー・ベッツ選手。走攻守すべてにおいてチームを牽引するスーパースターです。長年共に戦ってきたチームメイトだからこそ知っている山本投手の準備の凄さがここには詰まっています。2025年のワールドシリーズ第7戦直後の取材で、ベッツ選手はこう語りました。
Mook, I gotta be honest. We're here on the set, but we gotta be realist sometimes. I understand the politically right answer is, we believed in ourselves the entire time. We knew we had it. We were down, but we never were worried. We had 2 of the craziest games I've ever seen in my life, to where there were 2 games that I felt like y'all didn't have the upper hand. Mm-hmm. In today's game, the Blue Jays were in control the entire time. What's going through your mind in the 9th inning right there?
Man, really, like you said, what are we going to do? How are we going to get some type of control? How are we going to get some type of momentum? And, it seemed like it was just going to have to be a homer, that was all. We didn't build any inning. I guess early we built a 1, but once it got late, man, we couldn't really find a way to build an inning, and we didn't really know what was going to happen. And then, bam, Miggy Rojas hits a homer, and then it gave us a little life.
What's the conversation, if any, and what did you know about Yamamoto's potential of being available? To me, Mook, as a pitcher, that is beyond amazing that he was available and throws 3 innings.
Yeah, that when we came in today, He said he was good. He said he was good to go. I mean, they kind of.
Does he do like some crazy stuff in the training?
I don't know.
Stretches and-
I don't know. Yeah, he does a bunch of stretching. I mean, he does his thing. We let him do his thing, and you know how stuff spreads in the clubhouse immediately when one thing happens. And I guess he told somebody he was good, and then immediately everybody is spread around, and we knew late in the game.
彼は大丈夫だと言っていた。その一言がクラブハウス全体に広がり、チームメイト全員が試合終盤に山本投手へ託す覚悟を決めた。ベッツ選手のこの証言は、山本投手が単なるすごい投手ではなく、チームが最も苦しい場面で自然と頼りにする存在であることを示しています。前日に先発登板したにもかかわらず、翌日も大丈夫だと言える投手が世界にどれだけいるでしょうか。チームメイトたちはその言葉を疑わなかった。それが何より雄弁に山本投手の規格外さを物語っています。さて、いかがでしたか。今回はオールスタースラッガーたちが語る山本由伸投手の凄さと題して数々の証言をお届けしました。立場も対戦相手としての関係性も異なる強打者たちですが、共通していたのは球種の多さ、コントロールの精密さ、そして並外れた精神力への驚きでした。リーグを代表するスラッガーたちが口を揃えて称賛する投手、それが山本投手なのです。今シーズンも彼の活躍から目が離せませんね。最後までご視聴いただきありがとうございました。高評価、チャンネル登録をよろしくお願いいたします。それではまた次の動画でお会いしましょう。